Hi, I'm Juan Williams. Over the course of my career covering Washington, I've seen many political fights, debates, and none was more disappointing to me than what happened to the students of the D.C. Opportunity Scholarship Program in 2009. Powerful special interests, defenders of the status quo, saw to it that the lives of 1,700 low-income students and their parents got caught in the political crosshairs of day-to-day partisanship. Education opens the door to the American dream. But all across America, education is failing to give the next generation a chance by consigning them to unsafe and ineffective public schools simply because they live in the wrong neighborhood. Nowhere is this more visible than in the District of Columbia, our nation's capital, which ought to be a beacon of hope and opportunity, but is blighted by one of the worst school systems in the entire country. D.C. students rank dead last in academic achievement. This miserable failure has led to abysmally high dropout rates and has locked these children in a never-ending cycle of poverty. It goes on and on. In D.C., 36% of adults are functionally illiterate. The district has the highest child poverty rate in the country at 32%, and the nation's fourth highest incarceration rate. The D.C. public schools don't just fail to educate, they also fail to protect. 1 in 8 students report that they have been threatened with a deadly weapon on school grounds. That's the highest rate in the nation. Some families in D.C. have found a path to a brighter future. These children are getting the kind of education you'd expect of the capital city of the United States. 1,700 students currently have opportunity to attend a safe and effective school through the D.C. Opportunity Scholarship Program. But as you'll see in this video, whether any additional child will be given the same chance to attend the school of their choice hangs in the balance.
Without a quality education for all, there cannot be equality for all, the kind of equality that our founding documents promise. The moral test of government is how that government treats those who are in the dawn of life, the children, those who are in the twilight of life, the elderly, and those who are in the shadows of life, the sick, the needy, and the handicapped. In the District of Columbia today, with regard to this program, we must not allow the twilight to fall prematurely on a program that is clearly serving those in the dawn of life. And we cannot allow the shadows to fall on the dreams nurtured by that program in the children and parents who are today part of it.
Since 2004, thousands of low-income families in Washington, D.C. have had a lifeline to escape the failure of D.C. public education. They've had the power to choose private schools for their children through the D.C. Opportunity Scholarship Program. About 1,700 students from families whose average income is less than $22,000 a year currently have the opportunity to attend a safe and effective school thanks to the scholarships. The program has been a terrific success. Students are learning. Repeated evaluations have found that scholarship families are more satisfied with the safety and quality of their children's education. And so are the taxpayers. It's actually cheaper to educate a child through the Opportunity Scholarship Program. the $7,500 cost of each scholarship is only half the amount spent per pupil by the D.C. public schools. Parents will tell you that they can't wait for the public school system to give their child a quality education. And that's why the D.C. Opportunity Scholarship Program is in such high demand. For every one scholarship that is awarded, there are 4 applicants. Parents know that this is the program that works.
Thousands of parents in the District of Columbia wanted safe and effective education for their kids. They were not willing to put up with the real unacceptable level of violence and ineffective academics in the DC public schools. There was, first of all, the motivation of local parents. You saw local leaders like Virginia Walden Ford arise, and then there were visionary leaders in Congress who wanted to do better by the kids of the District of Columbia, better for our kids in the nation's capital. And so early leaders like Majority Leader Dick Armey in the 90s were visionaries about this program and fought for it time and time again. And there were a number of runs up the hill, a number of times that it went before Congress and got beaten back. But finally, 5 years ago now, it was enacted, and we have seen thousands of kids benefit as a result.
My involvement in DC Opportunity Scholarship actually began 15 years ago. It was my own story. I was a single mother raising children here in the district. 2 of my kids had navigated the public school system fairly successfully. They were both pretty academically driven, but my 3rd son just had a tough time, and he was getting pulled into all the things we see kids get pulled into in the district. We were so lucky to receive a scholarship from a neighbor, actually, who wanted to help, and William was able to attend a school that I chose that was in his best interest, a school that I believed would nurture and, he'd be able to thrive in that kind of environment, and he did. It was almost magical. In a couple of months, I saw this child go from being a child that was hated to go to school, that was failing everything, to this kid that was just totally engaged in learning. And when I asked him why, he said for the first time in his educational experience, he felt like people really cared about whether he learned or not. We had a happy ending. It was a great story, and it could have ended right there, but I felt a real responsibility to be a voice for parents who didn't have a voice. I realized that even though our family was having a happy ending, my neighbors' children were not.
I'm a drop of water. I'm a drop of water. I'm a drop of water in your sea. Won't you move me on the waves of eternity? I'm a drop of water in your sea. I'm a seed that's
I would say to those people that believe that the Opportunity Scholarship does not work, to look at my child, to look at other children as well, and to see their development.
If I go back to a public school, I want to be the way I am today.
Now I can see my son, the son that I said, that I knew that was so smart and remember so much. I know that he's going to graduate from high school.
I'm the dust that's blowing. I'm the dust that's blowing. I'm the dust that's blowing on the wind. Won't you gather me and breathe new life into me? I'm the dust that's blowing on the wind.
I've seen it as a parent that does work.
By being in my new school, it just helped me and my mom a lot.
He's not the only one that is learning in the process, but I'm learning too as a mom.
I could see my daughter, 5-10 years from now graduating. I could see my daughter not being on the poverty level that I've been through. I could see that this opportunity scholarship is working and will work.
I think my school is helping me get good grades and helping me better myself and character.
Just a drop of water in your sea. I'm a drop of water in your sea.
8 years ago, we watched former City Councilman Kevin Chavis just he has come full circle. When we first started talking to him about the voucher program, he, like many of those elected Democrats, was very apprehensive about even discussing it until he started talking to the parents.
I was stopped by a couple. It was a father and a mother and 4 kids. So it's a 2-parent household, obviously a stable family, and they had tears in their eyes. And the father said, look, we have 4 kids. We've got 1 kid that's been through the program and graduated, another kid in the program, and our 3rd child, who was about to go into high school, got into the program, and we were overjoyed. And as soon as they got the letter, within a couple weeks, they got another letter from the secretary's office saying they couldn't enroll the child. And these parents had tears in their eyes because they said, look, we have a combined family income of less than $40,000 a year with 4 kids living in D.C. We can't afford to send our kids to a private school. This program's been a godsend. And our 3rd child is a good child, but he has some issues. He has a tendency to want to hang out with the boys in the corner. We know if this child has to go to that neighborhood school down the block, we're going to lose our child. So help us, Mr. Chavis, save our child. Now, I don't know how you can hear that and not be moved to want to save this program. Because at the end of the day, it's not about, the politics or, the Democratic point of view or the Republican point of view. It's about that family. And they're doing what they can to save their children. And it is shameful for us to stop something that we know will help them save their children. So, it doesn't get any more direct than that.
The D.C. Opportunity Scholarship is under a full-scale, organized attack, and it's a matter of politics, pure and simple. One powerful voice of opposition to the scholarship program is the National Education Association. It is the nation's largest teachers' union, and as such, seems far more devoted to the welfare of its members than the welfare of the children they are hired to teach. The teachers' union defends the status quo and opposes the vouchers and every other effort to reform public schools. It doesn't seem to bother them that they continue to fail the nation's most vulnerable young people, low-income blacks and Hispanics.
Despite what some among us would like to believe, it is not because of our creative ideas. It is not because of the merit of our positions. It is not because we care about children, and it is not because we have a vision of a great public school for every child. NEA and its affiliates are effective advocates because we have power. And we have power because there are more than 3.2 million people who are willing to pay us hundreds of millions of dollars in dues each year because they believe that we are the unions that can most effectively represent them, the unions that can protect their rights and advance their interests as education employees.
The National Education Association is one of the leading opponents of school choice programs across the nation, and with this program in particular. Earlier this year, they sent letters to Congress asking them to basically end the program, to pull the scholarships from the 1,700 students. And in one of those letters, they actually lied. They talked about the Department of Education's evaluation and said that it presented no evidence that students were benefiting from the program. Earlier this year, the Department of Education released a report that found that kids who had been in the scholarship program had made statistically significant gains in reading achievement compared to a control group of students who remained in public school.
We see powerful interests aligned to protect the status quo, and it's a miserable status quo. It's shameful that anybody would stand up for it, but we see powerful interests lined up to protect it and to preserve their power. That's the teachers' unions, that's the bureaucracy, that's certain members of Congress who stand to gain by keeping the status quo.
The best way, I think, to hold members of Congress accountable is to call them on their own hypocrisy, because I think that many of these members, they do send their kids to private schools, and they also, you know, if you look at their record, they may talk about one reason why they did it this day and another reason another day. Is pure hypocrisy. The second thing we need to do is continue to empower these parents to speak for themselves.
My son is excelling. He is being challenged. His last report card was all A's and 1B.
Any parent who has a child in this program can tell you they can see the difference in their children.
When the Opportunity Scholarship program came on, that was a big blessing to me, because now I did not have to put him back into another public school and worry about his safety.
Without that Washington scholarship, my son Ronald Halasi wouldn't be where he is today. And now I could go to bed and sleep and said, thank you, Jesus. My son has a future ahead of him, a positive one.
Actually, what happened when I got the letter probably was the same week that I had received the acceptance letter. And 4 to 5 days after I got the letter saying that the program was being canceled. So it was a happy and then a complete rush for being unhappy.
When I got the letter rescinding the scholarship, I was angry, I was frustrated. I felt that my daughter had been not only did they care about her education, but I felt a bit of injustice to her. I felt so appalled that I was gonna fight to the end, or fight as long as I can, because she can't fight for herself. I'm the one that's to do that.
I watch these families and I watch the joy in their faces when their kids do well in school. And for real, the idea that somebody would take this away from them is heartbreaking. And we need President Obama to stand up and say, let's keep this program. This is not fair. You know, let's just keep this program. If the President of the United States stands up and says, let's keep this program, it will be kept. And until that happens, this fight is going to continue to be really hard. It is. So my thoughts are sometimes a little harder to get out these days. I'm sorry.
The people that don't support this program need to come face to face, look us in our eyes, and tell us why.
I do want to state for the record, and I think it bears noting, that we invited no less than 6 witnesses who are opposed to the reauthorization of this program to come and testify, and not a single one accepted our invitation.
The real problem here today, and everybody in this room ought to know this is a democracy that we're in, and we have people that lobby this place. But the National Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers do not like this program. And the thing that disturbs me, and children, this is a lesson for you and your parents, they're not here today. They haven't got the guts to come here and look at Tiffany in the eye and Ronald in the eye and Letitia in the eye and say, you know what, we're going to cut off your program. Now, if this is such a bad thing, where are they?
If I could talk to the politicians who are considering eliminating this program, I'd just ask them to take a step back and just sort of think of what it would be like if they couldn't afford the school that their child wanted to attend, and if every day their child went to school, they had to worry about their safety or whether or not they were actually learning.
The Opportunity Scholarship Program has strong support in the district. A recent poll of voters living in Washington, D.C. found that more than 7 out of 10 supported the scholarship program.
You mean to say you're not standing with the kids? The kids are the people who really are in need here. They don't have any political position here. They just want an education. Why wouldn't we be standing up for the kids? And so as that realization now starts to cut through the fog, I think that it's not just that the support is rising, I think that this is a winning proposition. I think anybody who takes the time to look at the issue comes to the same conclusion. You gotta stand with the kids.
The one thing about this issue that should resonate with each and every American is that it is completely representative of all the issues we need to look at when we consider education reform. Because education reform means more than just the 3 to 5 year reform plan that a new superintendent rolls out every 3 to 5 years.
I would challenge anybody who's a wonk in the education world and ask them whether they've really looked in the eyes of a child who's being denied educational choice and can stand by their opposition to this program. If you're in this business, you have to know the people, the parents, the children, the teachers that are affected by it. You have to be involved. That's more than just knowing what you're talking about. It's believing in what you do. And living side by side with these people, calling Virginia a friend, calling Joe and his kids friends, is something that's so important to me, and more important than any policy paper. It's about the people whose lives are at stake.
I think this issue is very personal for me because these kids are me. When I look at these kids, I understand that my mom had 3 kids and no money. We were living in subsidized housing. And the one thing that my mom believed in, and remember she had just a 4th grade education herself, was that education was the way up and the way to make it in America. And so she was unforgiving about my performance in school, insistent about the value of education, never had any doubt about what I had to do to succeed. And if the schools hadn't been good schools, if I hadn't had the chance to succeed, I would never have been able to achieve my dreams. So when I see the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program being taken away from kids, I think, oh my God. If that was me, if that was me, well then I could never have become a writer, I could never have become a voice, I could never have exercised the kind of political influence that I treasure, and I could never have had my family and put my kids in a situation. It just has so many repercussions, and yet there are people who would just say, oh, you know what, we're taking that away from these kids and it's only a few kids. And I think, no, those are real people. Those are real people that you're hurting. Those are real lives that could be changed by education. And somehow you are so cold-hearted that you think, you know what, those kids don't matter. And I think that that puts you on the wrong side of history.
If they take away the OSP in DC, then they're just another step away from taking away a good option from a parent in an area where their kid's getting a good education. And we should be ever mindful and vigilant to fight that.
This isn't about legislation in Congress. This is about people's lives. This is about shaping their future. This is about dreams and hopes and what it means to be an American.
This fight for this program has just begun. We're going to fight for this program until it's reauthorized.
I'd like to say to the decision makers on Capitol Hill and of the District of Columbia, before any political decisions are made against a program such as this, look at us here today, talk to us, listen to us, and more importantly, look toward the future of the children coming up after us who need the same opportunity that we've been given. Every parent and every child should have a choice in education. Choice should not just be for some, but for all.
Surrender me. Surrender me from the typical stereotype of a black young man. One who slings rocks, smokes weed, and keeps a gun at hand. I'm a whole different guy. One who reads books and wears a tie. You see, I'm changing the perception of a young black man. I'm not gonna be thrown in a category of jailed or shot. I'm the new face of black youth, like it or not. You see, I'm the descendant of Nubian kings, and I'm changing what it means to be a black teen.
Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much.
I am the future.
Ability is of little account without opportunity.
The way for a young man to rise is to improve himself in every way he can.
Give me opportunity.
Aim for the highest.
Our greatest natural resource is the minds of our children.
To succeed, you need something to hold on to, something to motivate you, and something to inspire you.
Give me hope.
Give us opportunity. Let me rise.